Hi, good evening. And today we are going to talk about uh, the unit on teaching and learning. Also we basically want to discuss on how learning is processed, right, into the classrooms, and what is it that the teacher should be taking into consideration because she's involved in the teaching learning process as an active uh, member. Okay, so today we are going to discuss on the behavioral theory uh, given by Thorndike, and basically these were there were quite a few of behavioral scientists that gave the idea of how basically learning happens in a child's mind, and what are the points, and then basically it draws a lot of implications for the teachers. So what we are trying to do today is we'll just see the basic idea of this particular theory. We will also see how we can use it for our teaching learning process. So I'll just share the presentation with you all, and let's begin from there. So we are discussing on behavioral theories of learning, and let's just discuss couple of slides today. We are saying that, like, what is learning? Learning का मतलब क्या है? तो learning is basically permanent change in behavior. So something that uh, when can you say that learning has happened in somebody, right? In a student. When can you say that learning has happened? You can say learning has happened only when you are able to see certain amount of change in behavior of a person, that also over a period of time. So it is not something that we are talking about that happens instantaneously, or that happens quickly. Okay, learning is something that happens over a period of time, and that is explicitly observed in the behavior of that particular individual. Okay. It is also acquiring knowledge through study, experiences, or being taught. So you can also learn by studying. Okay, you can also learn by your experiences. Basically, a lot is known by our experiences, right? Through experiences, we get a lot of insight, and that insight helps us to draw a lot of conclusions. So that is another thing, and even by being taught. But all of this should result, when we talk about behavioral theories, it should result into some kind of change in your behavior. Okay, that is the explicit uh, behavior that we would like to see into any individual. Now, how learning is happening was presented by this significant theorists, behavioral theorists, like Pavlov, Thorndike, Skinner, and Bandura. Okay. Now, basically, we know from psychology that Pavlov gave the theory of classical conditioning, and he basically discussed on how we learn through associations. So, um, how is learning happening by way of uh, associating something with another thing, and other than that, how uh, Bandura talked about uh, learning through observation and imitation. So a lot of times, see, it is known that a man is known by the company he keeps. Why is it said? Because the people that you are around, you will gradually start becoming like them, right? Because ultimately you learn a lot through the people that are around you. You basically start unconsciously also, you start imitating a lot of things that are around you a lot of time. You also observe a lot. So if you do not have a very good surrounding, if you do not have a very good community to support you, if you do not have very good experiences to, bring about, what happens is you are basically learning through observation, right? And so if the observations are not correct, then you may learn something that is not desirable. Learning does not always mean that there will be a positive change in behavior. Nowhere it is written that it is a positive change in behavior. It is said that there is some permanent change in behavior. Now, this could be positive, this could be negative, because you might associate yourself with people who are not doing the right things. And if you are continuously around them, you may learn what what they are practicing basically. Now, how the behaviorism theory basically is a theory of animal and human learning. So basically, what was done initially was the experiments were basically performed on animals, right? So if you see this, the Thorndike theory that we would be discussing on further, that also says that the experiment that was performed was on a cat, and whatever insights were drawn from this experiment were basically used for uh, implying for human learning or human behavior, right? So those insights basically help us to see how this is basically, this experience can help us to make or facilitate the learning process, right? So the way the cat learned is what we can imply to how humans learn. So it is basically known as applied behavior analysis theory. An example that is there is the classroom. In the classroom, you might have a lot of distracted learners. Now, the classroom distracted learners basically learn to be disruptive. So, again, as I said, learning may be a positive learning. It may be something that is basically has a negative, uh, I would say not negative, but not a very good idea associated with it. So it may be very, here also you'll be able to see learning to be disruptive. Okay, so they may distract. There are certain learners in the class who are very distractive to others, who distract basically others while they are working. But it is because of the attention they get from the peers, right? So why is he basically doing this disruptive behavior? It is because he is getting a lot of probably attention from the friends around him. So if you see, if there is a person who's basically passing jokes in the class while you are teaching, he basically is, the people who really want distraction in the class, they may applaud him, correct? They may appreciate him, they may laugh, they may enjoy. Now, whatever this enjoyment, this laughing, this appreciating, this providing attention to this particular learner who's basically distracting others in the class, it acts as a reinforcement to this particular learner, right? So when I'm talking about behavioral theories, we are trying to say that learning is often associated with reinforcement. Okay. So there are two things that we basically draw out from here, from the first slide. We want to say that first thing is that learning is basically permanent change in behavior. This may be a positive change, this may be a negative change. Behavioral scientists said that learning basically must be in the form of observable behavior unless we are able to explicitly see people um, change in behavior. Say, there are expressions by a particular individual. So those expressions are basically learned behavior. So you are able to see the expressions, and that is something that you are explicitly able to observe as a teacher, which means that is observable behavior that is seen. So that is a change in behavior, which means that person has learned it. The second thing that we want to say is that learning is often associated with reinforcement. So as teachers, it is important that we provide some kind of reinforcement. Again, we want to say that it could be a negative reinforcement, it could be a positive reinforcement, but meaning to say that there should be certain amount of response that must be given by us when the students are showing the signs of learning. So अगर कोई student answer दे रहा है and if you are not able to say, oh, this is really a good answer, I mean, wow, how did this insight happen to you? It is a positive reinforcement, and because of this you'll be able to see that the person learning in a better state over a period of time. So that attention, that reinforcement has to come from the teacher if you want the child to learn better or improve in the process of teaching learning. So I'll just conclude with this second slide. It basically says that this particular behavioral theorist said that basically learning is about stimulus and response connections. Okay. And when we talk about this response must be uh, observed through scientific methods. So basically, you are trying to uh, quantify, or basically are trying to map this particular observations through a scientific approach of studying them. A learning theory is an attempt to describe how people and animals learn, thereby helping us understand the inherently complex process of learning. So, what could be observable behavior? It could be physical activities, it could be gestures, right? It could be behavior, say, for a child. If you are, like if a child is doing some action, and if you clap or appreciate that, right? So you would be able to see that the child will imitate the same action, right? And while he is walking, he may do the same action while he does that walking, which means that he has learned that behavior from you through observing, where every time he makes a smaller achievement in walking, you appreciate by clapping. So I think the theory basically that we are discussing here, or the idea that we are discussing here, I'll just stop sharing the slide. The idea that we are sharing here is not only important for a teacher to use in her class, but it is also very important for us as parents to use this for our children, right? Like, when can I say that I want my child to have more and more positive behavior, like the expected behavior that I want should be repeated and repeated, when only when you are able to support that expected behavior by certain kind of appreciation. That appreciation may be in the form of the words that you speak, or probably in form of gestures that you do, in the form of giving good reinforcers like very good, I really like the way you have behaved today. But if you become neutral in that sense, and if you do not appreciate that, the child may learn that whatever I am doing today is not appreciated, and he may not repeat that behavior. Am I right? So the theories that are given by these psychologists, behavioral scientists, they are not only important, or they are not only they are not only implied in teaching learning process, but I think if you all are watching as parents, it is also very important for us to observe uh, such things for our children that are growing up, right? And accordingly, manage their behavior for better learning processes. Thank you. I will again meet you with the second class that will talk further about how Thorndike basically uh, put down his idea of learning through the cat experiment in the next class. Thank you.